brand new 2026 Cervelo S5 sitting here. Previous generation sitting behind it. Let's walk through the bikes and see what changed. Probably the most talked about or noticed difference is the new handlebar. Take a look at the shape from the front. That is definitely a different shape. The old bar is a straight V, and there's actually two pieces. This top bar was bolted to the V. The new bar, it's all one piece. If you want to see what it looks like from the top, you can see the little riser in the middle there. That's the old bar. But yes, one piece bar. So the other thing, there's the flare. The new bar actually has a little bit of flare here. The old bar was pretty traditional, and it might be hard to see on the GoPro. Little bit of flare on the drops of the new bar. The cool thing about this new bar, it's backwards compatible. So if you like the new bar, you can put the new bar on your current S5. That's pretty cool. There's various sizes to it. I'm speaking off my head. You of course look them up. You go 36, 38, and a 40. I think you figured out most people buying a bike like this aren't gonna run wider than 40 millimeter bars. We put these together with all the spacer stacks in it. We wanna get somebody fitted up on it first before we shorten the hydraulic lines. Some other big talking points on this frame. We'll talk about the frame, and then we'll go through the drivetrain, the one we have here. On this frame, you can definitely see the difference in depth of this head tube. The depth of that head tube, the old one, is not nearly as deep. Still the same style of steer tube and head tube in that fork. Just a lot deeper frame section off the front. The other big noticeable difference in the fork is how deep the fork is versus the old one is much shorter, and it comes down to this point here. This fork is very similar to what you see on a lot of TT bikes. The other thing, the nose on the front side of this fork is much more pronounced than the old one. You can see this is pretty soft around the edges here. These are sharper lines. Same type of thing off the back of the bike. These seat stays coming into here. These are much softer. These are much more pronounced, just all refined. And actually, when you look at this area, this section here is actually not quite as deep as it is on the old one. The seat clamp, the old one sitting right here mesh with the top tube. The new one is actually inset, and there's a rubber cap to go over the top to fill the gap. Let's talk about the wheels. The reserves on this one, this is the SRAM red version. Comes with a 57 on the front and a 64 on the back. The bike that we have here has a 52 and a 63. The hubs on this one are DT Swiss 180 hubs. This bike is spec'd to fit 34, so is the old one. These are 29s. I don't know, 34, maybe on the front. But I think putting a 34 on this rim in there is gonna be pretty tight. All right, let's talk about the drivetrain. So this is the first one we got in. Big notable difference. Another big change in the frame is a universal derailleur hanger. I was looking forward to this on a speed bike like this. My personal preference, this is probably the drivetrain I would run. Probably not gonna get a SRAM red one, but all the new drivetrains out with the Explore drives with the universal derailleur hangers. You could get that in a SRAM Force. Heck, if somebody wanted to build one of these up with a rival, they could. Force would probably be like my go-to. You've got a 50-tooth ring on the front, and then you've got your red 13-speed Explore drive on the back. So you got a ton of gear range and a lot of top end. The 1x with a 13-speed would be my pick of drivetrains. In fact, if you watch my other video about the Aspero 5, this is the drivetrain that I would also run on the Aspero 5. Maybe on the S5, you go a little bigger chainring. This comes with the power meter. And of course, you got your SRAM red brakes and all of that drive. Anyway, this bike also comes spec'd with your Shimano Dura-Ace, Ultegra, of course, both Di2s. You can also get the bike with SRAM Force in a 2x, red in a 2x, and then of course, the SRAM red 1 with the 13-speed transmission drive. There's 3 different frame colors on this bike. The carnelian, there's the 5 black, and then there's the lithium. Not all colors come in all builds. Cervelo does have a program so we can swap some bars out so we can get people on the right fit if you want different width bar and a different length bar. We've got a way to get it done. I think it's pretty cool. This is already known as an extremely fast bike, and they made some tweaks on it to make it a little bit faster. I love that the handlebar is backwards compatible. I think that's fantastic. That's a great idea. If you have the old bike and you want to upgrade bars, you can do that. Personally, after riding so much gravel, I've gotten used to a little bit of flare. Well, more flare in my gravel bars. I like the idea that this new bar has a little bit of flair to it. It's not gravel bar flair, but just a little bit of flair versus the drops being tucked in more. Anyway, pretty excited about this bike. As our shop's been growing the last 6 years, sometimes we're not always able to get the new stuff in right away. And I was super excited that we could get one of these in at launch, along with the Cervelo 5. We also got one of the new Soloist colors in. Super excited about that. If you're in the area, you want to check them out, see what these bikes look like, swing by. We can talk about them, answer some questions. If you're interested in one, there are some other sizes and build specs that are actually available in the warehouse. Thanks for tuning in.